What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Phaithful Phanatics Show. We are live here on a Monday evening on DSM-Media's Philadelphia YouTube and Twitter channels. Guys, do yourself a favor, do us a favor. Make sure to check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. Hit that follow button, and then check out the link tree in our bio. It will take you to every social media page that we are available on. If you want to be interactive throughout tonight's show, like my man D-Rab is doing right here, make sure to check out the link to the YouTube channel specifically. Smash that subscribe button, like the video, share it with your friends, family, any other Philly fans that you may know of that could enjoy the content. Again, it's always greatly appreciated. I'm one half your host, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. My man, it's been a week. We took the week, rested up. We had some issues last week in the sports and betting in the betting world, and it's been a roller coaster.
Yeah,
of a week when it comes to Philly sports. Your Philadelphia Phillies are 9-6 to start the season. They just won an early season series against Los Angeles Dodgers at the bank a little over a week ago. And now, of course, the world is falling. We're going to talk about there are concerns. There are negatives. We want to know where you stand with this Philadelphia Phillies team 15 games into this very, very long season. Again, 9-6. There are concerns. Express them. Get it in the comments section. Also, I don't know if you guys know this. The NBA playoffs are starting, which means we officially get to lay to rest this nightmare, this season from hell that was your 2024-2025 Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid did, in fact, complete that surgery. So we're on to 2025-2026, man. Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse will be back, apparently, from the mouth of Daryl Morey himself. We're going to talk about it.
Glad he got to decide.
Draft pick. But we'll talk about that later on the show. But, brother, happy Monday. It's been a while. How you doing?
Yeah, no. I am doing very well, man. This Monday's been busy, but I'm happy to finally get here and kind of not relax because we're going to get into a little bit of painful stuff, of course. The Sixers the most, I think we would agree. But nonetheless, I'm happy to be here. This is relaxing. This is therapy for me to talk it out and get through it. You mentioned last week, I had the Duke loss on the Saturday night. It ruined a good 3 or 4 days for me, quite honestly. Yeah, and then you throw the gambling L's on top of it. Shit just went haywire.
It was a rough week.
Yeah, I mean, shit went haywire. It just felt like even with the Phillies when they won games, we were picking the run line instead of the money line. Yeah. It just everything was working against us, and it was starting to hurt, man. So we took a little break. Allergies were going crazy last week as well, man. My congestion has cleared up a little bit today. The sun's out a little bit more today, but I imagine it's going to fluctuate throughout the rest of spring as it always does. But nonetheless, happy to be here with you, man. And I'm hoping that us getting back on the air, I'm hoping that it was like a sign last week. We didn't do a show last week. We took a little bit of a break. The Phillies took a little bit of a break too. So I'm hoping that we get back on the grind today, that they will do the same and get back in the W column. They need us, man. They need us out here.
This fan base is spiraling. I'm seeing, people we listen to, people we interact with, people on the local radio stations and airwaves. They seem to what I would say is to be overreacting right now. But we're going to talk about it. Again, express your concerns. What do you like, dislike, are indifferent on through 15 games of this young Phillies season? Because I just think, look, I love that we're passionate enough as a fan base and we're and engaged enough to where it feels like everyone we talk to is living and dying with this team on a nightly basis, engaged enough to tune in every single night and care enough every single night when it comes to this Phillies team. But again, I didn't really think or expect I would have to say this on April 14th, Scotty. You cannot treat a baseball game like it is a football game. You cannot treat it like it is a basketball or a hockey game. There are 162 of these motherfuckers throughout the course of a very, very long summer. With that said, the reason I'm a little surprised I have to bring this up is because since the Phillies started getting back to the postseason 3 years ago, 2022, here are your records to start the year, Scotty, through 15 games or 14 games at this point. But obviously we know they lost yesterday. In 2022, your Phillies were 6-8 through 14 games. In 2023, they were 5-9 through 14 games. And last season, they were 500. They were 7-7 through 14 games. This year's Phillies team was 9-5 through 14 games. Lost yesterday. They are 9-6 through 15 games. They have an exciting, an exhilarating, a humongous early season series victory over the Los Angeles Dodgers just over a week ago.
Yeah.
And yet you would think the world is crashing. Again, we're going to get into those negatives. We're going to get into the concerns. But you said something to me interesting before we clicked go live here. And I think it's a thing that people need to realize. These concerns, the reason or the explanations people are feeling frustrated with this team right now are championship level concerns. And that's a good thing. When you're concerned about the outfield, when you're concerned about what the third baseman is doing right now, you have those concerns because you're thinking to yourself, is that too much to overcome to win a World Series? That's it. That's okay. That's a good thing. They're not having these issues as a, can we get into the playoff type of team? Are we a wild? No, they are having these issues because you are concerned if it gets in the way of costing your team a championship. I just want to point out as I throw this to you, man, the Los Angeles Dodgers are 3-6 in their last 9 games. They did, in fact, just lose to the Phillies 2 out of 3 a little over a week ago. I just want to throw that out there because it's like everyone wants to use this team, this juggernaut, as this barometer, but they don't want to do it equally. So, like, are LA fans concerned as much on a night-to-night basis, or are we as Phillies fans, paying enough attention to what that juggernaut is doing? They're 9-6. They're a damn good baseball team. They have flaws. Those flaws we're going to get into in a moment, man. But yeah, I think you brought up a very excellent point with the championship talk because that's what those concerns are about.
Yeah, I think when you look at the lineup, man, I think there's just 2 glaring holes in the lineup that just stick out like a sore thumb. Like it's very clear, right? And I think the frustration comes from it is a little predictable with the players that we're discussing. I mean, not to this extent. I was getting secondhand embarrassment for Brandon Marsh. Like on Sunday, yesterday, I was literally getting secondhand embarrassment as he strikes out for like the 3rd or 4th time in the game. Like, and it's been what, 0 for 24 in the month of April.
I think he's like 0 for his last 26 or something at this point.
Oh my goodness, yeah, dating back into the last game in March as well. Yeah. So he's obviously in a struggle.
He's hitless in April. Yes, that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, unbelievable. But you go to the other things like the bullpen concerns. I get that as well, like a little bit there. But you when you score 0 runs, it's just hard to like implicate or indict the bullpen for being like poor. I would like to see them with a 1-run lead or a 2-run lead going into these situations and see how they react, see where their confidence is at. But I do think at the basis of everything, everybody is glaring in on this team with a big ass picture perspective. And it's fair. It's fair to an extent, but I do blame the Sixers a good bit for it, man, because you usually have the Sixers gearing up for the postseason right now, which will take people's attention away from this weekend, right? Where, yes, they dropped 2 games. There was like some travel implications where they didn't get into like St. Louis or something until 4 a.m. or something like that. So their sleep schedule was off, the rest schedule was off. You don't want to make a ton of excuses, but it's a 162 game season, man. So I'm not jumping too far one way. Yes, I'm concerned about Alec Bohm and Brandon Marsh specifically and their fit, and maybe not even their fit, but if they just can't figure it out, where do you go? But once again, I do think that is more of a championship level concern rather than like, oh, are we going to make the postseason or are we going to compete for the NL East, right? Like, it's not like that, man. The Braves have holes too. Like, all of these teams have holes. You just mentioned the Dodgers. I went back and looked, man. Imagine if the Phillies lost to the Cubs 16-0. You know what I mean? And I get it's one game. Like I understand that even as like a know this baseball fan, you could call me. It's one game, but But just imagine, like we did lose 7-0. Like that one hurt a little bad, right? Like it's distasteful, but I don't know. You find a way to move on after a game, after a series, especially. You got a big opportunity coming up this week back at CBP. Let's get it turned around and everybody can shut the hell up again, you know? Yeah. I just think the main point to start the show with is we don't have to take it too far.
Yes.
Either way, man, we're 15 games into the season?
Yeah, I think in a weird way, and I'm about to I already want to backtrack what I'm about to say, but in a weird way, losing these last two series could not have come at not a better time, but a more ironic time, right? Because 10 days ago, when they opened up the series against Los Angeles Dodgers, and it was playoff atmosphere all weekend long, and Jesus Luzardo is mowing down that Dodgers lineup in the City Connects, and he's unstoppable, and they close out that ball game by a strikeout throw out, and JT throws out Ohtani the inning before that, and then Sunday afternoon, after losing the NOLA start on Saturday, the Phillies battle back and forth. Castellanos hits a grand slam. We beat them 8-7 or whatever that game was, 7-6, that one run ball game. And it couldn't have come at a better time because it's exactly what you just said. You can't overreact one way or another.
Yeah.
What just took place over the last 6 games was a bad 6-game stretch.
Yeah. While
what took place last weekend at CBP was a fantastic series. That's the ups and downs of a baseball season. What's taken place since that Dodgers series victory?
Let me ask you one more thing before you get into that. Is there any stock in them just kind of getting way up for that Dodgers series? Is there stock in that in baseball where you're locked in on the Dodgers? Well, we won that series. We proved who we are. And then it goes into this nonchalant mentality. I think the only argument is it's the Braves, right?
They were asked about it.
It's the Atlanta Braves afterwards.
Yeah, and I think here's the perfect summary of what took place the last week since beating the Dodgers, right? You've gotten 2 very un-Zach Wheeler-like starts, and the lineup hasn't produced. They're not hitting with runners in scoring position. They're not, they haven't hit for power the last couple of games. They're not playing smart, intelligent baseball. They're making some blunders out in the field. They just haven't played solid baseball since the Dodgers series. And ever since that first game in Atlanta last Tuesday, they had a 5-2 lead, 5-3 lead before, or 4-2 lead, whatever it was. And Zach Wheeler was on the bump, and we were feeling confident in that game. And he comes in or he gives up a 3-run home run, and next thing you know, the Braves are able to take that one. They lose. There's a 2-hour and 45-minute rain delay mixed into the third game. They resume play. It's 1-1. They lose in extra innings, and then they go to St. Louis. It was an ugly 4 out of 6 games. That's all it is. So Zach Wheeler, not very good. The bullpen depth is something you can look at and we'll discuss, but it starts and ends with the 2 guys that everyone and their mother is talking about right now. I'll say this. I think Brandon Marsh is much more of a lost cause at the moment, but Alec Bohm is the much bigger problem.
Yeah.
Everyone sits here, right? And we like to complain at the smallest things, right? We like to complain as if other teams just have 1 through 9 of just production. No, other teams are they might have 1 through 6 where it looks dominant, and then you get down, you're like, So yeah, we like to harp on Brandon Marsh. We like to harp on Johan Rojas. At the end of the day, if your 9-hole hitter is a guy that frustrates you, that's the least of your worries. Alec Bohm is the much bigger concern. Yeah. And at this point in time, I'm much more frustrated with Alec Bohm. Yeah. Because it's the same old story. It's the whine, it's the complaining, it's the slamming the helmet after hitting into another drastic inning-ending double play when we have something going, when we have a little bit of momentum. It's the swinging at the first pitch, which when is it going to register that you cannot swing at the first pitch? When is that going to register to Mr. Alec Bohm? He's dropped down to 8. If Alec Bohm's your 8-hole hitter, you would hope it's for a good reason. It's not right now, and Rob Thompson's trying to fix it. But Alec Bohm is one frustrating MF right now, Scotty.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. With that analysis as a whole, like Brandon Marsh, yes, you would like to see better, and yes, like 0 for 24, like in the month of April, like nah, yeah, I would like to see at least a hit or two. But with Alec Bohm, it's just on a much larger scale because he's going to take more at bats. He's usually higher up in the lineup, so that means if you move him down, that's opening up a hole up top, right? We saw Bryson Stott had the lead off at a certain point for this lineup over the
leading
weekend.
Off tonight.
Topper, he's trying things. You can't put the blame on Topper. Like I tried to do that with like Brandon Marsh and like giving him a chance, right? But I think hindsight's 2020. Looking back, I'd rather see Rojas at this point, man. At least Rojas tries different things. He's not going to be a guy that you expect to get a hit, so it's almost in reverse. That if he gives you anything, it's a positive, but you know what you get in the outfield. But yeah, Alec Bohm, he's the guy. Like he's the guy that's supposed to contribute after the Trey Turners, the Bryce, the Castellanos, like those type of guys, right? And he's just not there, man, mentally, and it's not going to get easier. I think that's the major concern. Is that this is the beginning of the season. It's only going to get worse if this continues throughout.
Look, it's a Monday night, so I don't know what the ballpark looks like tonight, but it's a beautiful day outside.
Yeah, it is.
Giants are 11-4. It's a big series. It's a big game. It's tough competition.
They need a W.
It's not just that. I'm talking from an Alec Bohm perspective.
Yeah.
Everyone in the city collectively, it's very rare the city or this fan base as a whole collectively agrees on something.
Agrees.
For a good way, for one way or another, good or bad. I think 99.999% of this fan base is in agreement on Alec Bohm at the moment.
Yeah.
If he comes out tonight and goes 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts, swings at the first pitch in every at-bat, hits into an inning-ending double play and slams his helmet, I don't know how good that's going to be for my man's mental capacity because that place is going to let him hear it, and they should. But this is a guy that doesn't seem like he has handled the pressure here in the past. We thought he did, after the IF and hate this place, and then he came out and played excellent ball after that. But it's tiring, man. It's tiring watching this dude come out and make the same mistakes night in and night out. I mean, just stand there with the bat on your shoulder for the first pitch, Scotty. Just fucking stand there. How hard is that to do?
Yeah.
And he continuously swings at the first pitch. I made a joke, and it wasn't his fault, but I made a joke about Brandon Marsh the other night. We're sitting here talking about that 2-1 extra or that extra inning loss, right? If Brandon Marsh doesn't hit into a double play after Bryson Stott walks to lead off an inning, Kyle Schwarber's home run is a 2-run home run, and that game's 2-1. And the Braves didn't, and I get it. Like if it's 2-1, butterfly effect. Like different things happen throughout the course of a game. We throw different pitchers. Maybe, I'm not just saying the game ends 2-1.
Yeah.
The bottom line is the Braves didn't score again in those 9 innings. If Brandon Marsh isn't the guy that hits into a double play there, Kyle Schwarber's 440-foot home run is a 2-run home run, and the Phillies win 2-1. Hypothetically.
Yeah.
So it's like these two just can't get out of their own way right now.
Yeah. And it always seems like in the game, in the biggest moments, it's them that is coming up to bat. And I think it's just ironic, but it's just the way baseball works, man.
Also, to Brian's point, it's just so ironic that this dude's like the only one that's known for using a torpedo bat in our lineup, right? Like the torpedo bats and the Yankees took the league by storm this spring, and Alec Bohm gets one 4 games in, and Alec Bohm is arguably the worst starting hitter in Major League Baseball to start the season.
Incredible. That's incredible. And I was listening to some of the radio today. I thought Tyrone on 97.5 put it very, very good. Like, we're not asking for these guys to be like fucking perfect. Like, we're just asking for them to hit like 200. You know what I mean? Like we're not asking for, an all-star type of season from Alec Bohm.
They're at a point right now where like that Marsh double play I brought up, they're at a point where they can't even make mistakes correctly. Like Brandon Marsh would have been better served in that Braves game, going up in that box and holding the bat against his chest for every pitch and just walking back to the dugout. It would have been better served than him actually attempting to put the ball in play.
That's crazy.
That's how bad it's going. Alec Bohm did the same thing in extra innings that night. Or we had the ghost. We had first and third, one out or whatever it was in extra innings. Alec Bohm's got to put the ball in play. Alec Bohm's got to lift the ball to the outfield, right? Well, he lifts it to the outfield, Scotty. He swung at the first pitch and hit one into shallow center field where it wasn't deep enough to score Castellanos from third base. They can't even make mistakes correctly. They can't even make outs, record outs productively right now. And like you said, it just so happens to be those two. Now, over the last 5 games, the lineup as a whole has not produced. So I know we're picking and everyone's piling on Marsh and Bohm, and that's kind of the argument against it right now from certain people that I've seen, like, oh, the entire lineup. And you'd be correct. The problem is, if you date back to last All-Star game, those two are hitting like 208 and 212 respectively each. Like this is not just a 15-game thing for each of these two players. This is a last July struggle for them.
This is a large sample size. This is a large sample size. It's not that they're this bad, but is what they truly are much better, I think, is the question that you have to ask yourself. Maybe not as much about Bohm just yet, but I think we are getting to that point where, all right, he has like talent. Like we've been waiting on the talent and for him to put it together mentally and physically, and it's just not happening. Brother, like eventually you just don't have it. And
can I tell you a tweet I saw the other day? Alec Bohm is older than the age when Bryce Harper signed here in Philadelphia. Bryce Harper signed here in Philadelphia, arguably already a Hall of Fame player, because he came up at, I think he entered the league at 18 years old with Washington. Like I think he started playing at 18.
Yeah.
So he's been around a while. Like I get that, right? And that's an outlier when I bring up Bryce. But Alec Bohm is quite literally older than Bryce Harper was when he signed the dotted line to put on a Phillies uniform. What, 7 years ago now?
Yeah.
He's not a kid.
He's not.
It's not like, I know it was like, oh, the day cares no more, but this dude, we keep hearing, oh, the talent. Oh, he's hitting the ball hard. I'm getting tired of it, man. So he's got to figure out a way to be productive tonight in that a-hole, man, or he's gonna hear it from that crowd, and I don't think that does anyone good. It doesn't do Alec Bohm any good.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. I like your point, though. Like, at least Topper's trying stuff. Like, I know people are going to get annoyed, and people are up in arms with Dombrowski and the lack of moves from this. How's Jesus Luzardo doing?
Yeah.
How's Jesus? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so it's like, Marsh, he tried to give Marsh a bit of a leash. It's not working. He's sitting him tonight. Sounds like he's going to sit him this entire series to try to get his mind right. He's overthinking. He feels like he's letting his teammates down. He even said that in an interview yesterday. Bohm was hitting 3. He's hitting 8 now.
Yeah.
There's almost nowhere else you can put Alec Bohm outside of benching him. So he's tinkering with things.
Would Sosa be the guy that would replace Bohm in the lineup? Like, is that basically where you would go? Yeah, because he's obviously been all right the last couple of weeks. Had a few big games, but I did want to circle back to Brian's comment here about Trey Turner, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on him because, like, I don't know. For me, I guess watching game to game, he doesn't like. I don't know. I don't want to sound like a casual, but I guess I am a casual at the end of the day. Like, he just doesn't wow me, man. Like, he doesn't.
I feel you.
Do you know what I mean? Like, Bryce has his moments, and Schwarber, obviously, they're guys with power. I know that. I know home runs and like that. That stuff's exciting. But I'm just waiting for that superstar performance. To be fair,
one of their last 2 wins is because Trey Turner hit a home run off of Raisel Iglesias in the top of the 9th in Atlanta and won the game. So he's had that moment. I think Brian, this comment's interesting because in terms of what, like, Trey Turner not living up to Trey Turner standards is a bigger issue for this Phillies team trying to win a championship than Alec Bohm or Brandon Marsh not living up to Alec Bohm and Brandon Marsh standards.
Yeah.
But in terms of the first 15 games, no, Trey Turner's not a bigger issue than either of those two or, some of the other guys on this team as well.
Yeah, because obviously I put big lofty expectations on him coming into the season. I picked him as hopefully playing up to that of MVP of the team, and I do get it. Like, he's gonna show up in different areas than, say, like a Bryce Harper caliber or a Kyle Schwarber who's gonna get you a bunch of home runs, RBIs. But I don't know. I guess I just expect more from him, but maybe it's not.
Yeah, and we need more.
Maybe it's not fair. It is a balancing scale of, like, you're getting 0 from 2 people in your lineup, sometimes 3, right? And then it can extend, of course. But I don't know. He's just somebody I'm gonna keep my eye on here. But obviously the focus goes to Alec Bohm. He's a guy that would you say, like, he has to like what? Where are you at with him? Like, he has to turn around. Like, is it possible when you're playing at Alec Bohm specifically? Like, when you're playing at this level with this lack of confidence, it feels like a situation where he does need, like, a change of scenery. Maybe that could.
I don't think you're far off from it. I don't think you're far off from that making sense or being true. I don't know what the answer is for Bohm. I think Topper's pressing the right button by sitting Marsh down. When the player comes out and says to the media that he's pressing and he's in his head, he feels like he's letting his guys down. The guy needs a mental rain check for a couple days. Bohm's clearly in his head, but is it, he needs a day or two, or we've already given him a day. Last Sunday he got a day against the Dodgers. Now they tried to say it was a planned day off. It wasn't a planned day off. It's because he had 4 at-bats and saw 5 pitches on that Saturday game against the Dodgers. He got benched that next day. So they gave him a day. Does he have to hit his way out of it? I don't know. I would just literally, what do you tell him to get it through his head? Hey, Alec, you cannot go up there and swing at the first pitch. Just don't swing at the first pitch, and it'll be progress. Progress will be made. Yes. 9-6, second place, losers. Yes, you would be correct. I love you, Marsh, but losers, this is what I'm talking about when we take it to a certain level.
I knew that one. Loser. Yeah, I knew that would be
just think about what you're saying for a second.
Yeah.
Because, again, I'll ask you a question. Okay, Martian, are the Los Angeles Dodgers losers? I don't want to hear last year. Last year. They won the World Series. Are the Los Angeles Dodgers losers this year? 3-6 in their last 9 games. Lost 2 of 3 to the loser Phillies. Are they losers? Yeah, I'm not concerned with last year. I'm concerned about this year. Well, they got beat 16-0.
D-Rap says that they are losers. I guess it I don't know, man. I guess it's the hot and cold of the fan base.
Scotty, I'm not great at math. The Phillies are 9-6. So does that mean they win 2 out of every 3? Does that math compute, or is my math off there? They win 2 out of every 3. So that would compute to about a 67% winning percentage. Now, that's not going to keep up over the entire season. I understand that. But they're winning 2 out of 3 games statistically right now. And they just showed you that they can beat this juggernaut of a team in playoff atmosphere. They did that already for you. With the Sixers, we always want that we want that test, right? When the Sixers in previous years, Scotty, would beat up on the Raptors and the Magic when they weren't so good and whoever else, and we would want to see them against Giannis and Dame and the Bucks, or we want to see them against Tatum and Brown and the Celtics. You got one of those samples already, and they answered the test. They won 2 out of 3.
Let me ask you this. Is it accurate to say we are at like
but this is what you can't. Then just do me a favor. I'm not trying to cut you off. For him, don't watch the rest of the season. Then I'm not worried about what happened last year. This year, go ahead.
No, what I was gonna ask, like, because I know we went through this during the Eagles season. Like, I remember when we went through this in the Eagles season, and it's not to say that we're gonna come out in the end and the Phillies are gonna win the World Series. It's not to say that, but the Eagles did, in the end, win the Super Bowl after major concerns early on in the season. And so what I was going to ask is it accurate to say that we are roughly at the Atlanta Falcons loss in Philadelphia stage of the season? Or are we at the Tampa Bay loss in Tampa Bay part of the Eagles season? Do you know what I mean? We're 2-2 or 1-1. Like, we're 15 games in, man. Like, to say they've regressed, like, Brandon Marsh has regressed. Yeah, Alec Bohm has regressed. Aaron Nola maybe has regressed. Like, sure. But the team in 15 games hasn't. We cannot make that declaration yet. We cannot. It's not, even with the computers computing, the computers do not have a large enough sample size yet.
I'm
not trying to give them excuses.
And it's a very Philly-like thing. It's a very Philly-like thing to do. It's if we would have, what if we were 2-0 in the last two NOLA starts and he looked great, but we got shelled in the Taiwan Walker starts like we were expecting?
Yeah,
they'd still be 9-6. And we were expecting Walker to be Walker, and
that's a good way to put it. You got the negative of Nola.
But Martian. Because people did this in the chat this year. Not even 2-2 Eagles, Scotty. Not even Saints game Eagles. Panthers, because the passing game didn't look good. And they did this all year long. So if we've talked about this. They are going this way in the last couple of postseasons.
Yeah.
In 2022, your Philadelphia Eagles lost in the Super Bowl. The Phillies lost in the World Series. The following year, the Eagles got their shit kicked in the first round of the playoffs, regressing. To start this year, everyone had concerns. And then what did they end up doing this year, Scotty? So you can't go back and like look. How do I want to say this? Looking back on previous years, when I watch this Phillies team starting this year, right through 15 games, I'm not coming away from games or coming away from losses feeling like all those similarities are shining in my face from those playoff losses. Does that make sense? Like, I didn't watch this Cardinal series and think like, oh man, this is all the same shit I saw last year against the Mets. I'm not coming away with that analysis. And yeah, you're right. You are 1000% right. It is too long of a season, which is why when they win 9 of their first 15 games, you can't say they're losers and they're regressing. No, I don't watch what they've done through 15 games and say, wow, this is the same issues at the plate. There are individuals who we've talked about for 30 minutes so far that are sharing those issues. But when you watch Nick Castellanos at the plate this year, does he look like previous Nick Castellanos? When you watch Kyle Schwarber, you watch, Bryce Harper's only hitting 250. He's had a couple moments. The Atlanta series, he had a couple big home runs, but he hasn't peaked yet. But Bryce hasn't been a problem, right, at all. Edmundo Sosa's been a huge spot, right? I'm not watching this lineup as a whole suffer. Yeah, they've had a game or two where they haven't hit with runners in scoring position. They haven't had a week where they haven't hit with runners in scoring position. So just let's see how tonight goes.
Yeah, it's so weird, man. Because like, I guess like I'm trying to evaluate in my head. They went runless twice, 2 out of the 3 games in St. Louis.
Yep.
Should I get over them not scoring runs in specific games? Like, is that just something that happens commonly in baseball? Like, I'm asking as a casual baseball fan of the MLB.
Yes.
Is that just something that happens over the? Because like when I look at the lineup, it just doesn't compute.
I get what you're saying. I'll throw this to you. So
board.
2 things. What game did you bring up to me before we went live here? Not the Phillies, another team we were talking about.
Yeah, the Dodgers?
The Dodgers.
The Dodgers.
What was that score?
Yeah, 16-0.
16-0. I saw a TikTok before the season started. I think it was like Yankees guys that do a podcast together. And there was this Yankees prop that one guy wanted to bet, and it was the Yankees to score at least 1 run in every game until the All-Star break. And it was like plus 200 or whatever it was. And last year they went back and looked, and the Yankees didn't get shut out until early June. But that didn't hit already. The Yankees have already been shut out this season. The Dodgers have already been shut out this season. The Braves have already been shut out this season. The Phillies have, it's a wonder, right? Like it's a 9-inning game. The other team has to get 27 outs. All this pop in the lineup. How is it that you get shut out? It happens. It happens often. Now, getting shut out twice in a series doesn't look great. Doesn't feel great. But it happens throughout the course of a baseball season.
No, I feel you. That's why I wanted to ask, just to clarify, because I think that is the most frustrating thing is looking at a loss and it's 2-0. Like it just shouldn't happen. But it's 162 games. To your point, it's gonna happen. I guess I'm trying to like gauge the expectations, because look, this is what I'm getting at. As Philly fans, and I'm making a very hasty generalization here, and I base it off my experience and people around me's experiences, at least from what I view. And it feels like most Philly fans look at other teams and their performances against the Philly teams, right? Like for example, when I'm watching the Sixers, I found myself this season having to make myself watch NBA games because the Sixers sucked.
Right, are irrelevant.
So I always get my view of other teams when they're going directly against the Sixers. They play all the teams in the NBA, right? In the NFL, on a week-to-week basis, yes, I will say the NFL is a little bit of an exception because I watch a lot more outside of the Eagles, I guess. But, I'm looking at it from that perspective of us putting these expectations, right, on these teams without a perspective of the other teams with a realistic view on it, right? Like we talk about the Dodgers, that's the big comparison. They have a very similar record right now, and are they freaking out in that manner? So I'm not saying that is factual. I'm not trying to go that far. It is just something I've noticed this season. Now that I'm fully into my adulthood, like we had the process era of the Sixers, yes. Like I could get up for some of those games with the young talent when I was younger, but like now, I use my time more wisely, if that makes sense. And I noticed that I had to force myself to watch outside of Sixers games this year in the NBA to get that content in and to be able to do my NBA show. So I wonder if that's just all fans, if that's just a Philly fan thing where you only see it through the Philly fan perspective, like the Philly team perspective.
To your point, I think if I'm gathering this correctly, right, we sit here and we have our concerns about our team and like not hitting what runners in scoring position, and in previous years in the playoffs, not playing small ball. Right, like not being able to cash, not being able to run, move runners over, not being able to cash in, etc. And then you watch guys like on the back end of the Mets last year, like who was the guy? I forget who their catcher, but like you watch a couple guys, right? Brandon Nimmo, they're moving guys over. We watch the Diamondbacks do it, right? And in the macro, like in the small, right, under a microscope. Excuse me, couldn't talk for a second. In a microscope, that's all you're seeing from that team. So we watch the Phillies night in and night out, and we sit here and we see these concerns pop up throughout the course of the season, and we get frustrated by them. And then we watch when lesser talented teams execute against us, and we think, look at this. These guys can do this. These teams do this.
We can't. We're not as good.
If you watch that team over the course of a season, they are going to have the same issues the Phillies have throughout the season. They are going to go through waves of not hitting with runners in scoring position. They are going to get shut out. They are going to, like the Dodgers. The Dodgers have not been playing good baseball. The Braves are 4-11 to start a season. The Yankees went to the World Series last year, have World Series expectations. They're 8-7 to start the year. I'm glad we all have high expectations. Again, I'm glad we're all engaged enough on a night-to-night basis to tune in and be invested in this baseball team and ride and die with them. But you cannot react one way or the other. So, yes, that Dodgers series was very, very exciting. Should anyone have come away from that Dodgers win saying this team is the best team in baseball and they're going to win the World Series? No. You know why? Because it's the beginning of April. Yeah. It was a great series win. They proved they can play with that juggernaut. Very good. Quiz, test, passed. Now it's not some very good baseball. That does not mean they suck. This is the same old team. We had the same holes. Dombrowski should be fired.
Yeah.
They're 2-4 over the last 6. That's where we're at. Big series coming up that starts in about an hour. Let's see how it goes.
I swear, man.
Weeks go.
They're victims of the Sixers not making the postseason, and so everybody. You can be, it's not to say you can't be invested in the Phillies start of the season when the Sixers are playing in the playoffs, but you're not you, but as a fan, right? Your emotions are now hanging in the balance each night on the result of the Phillies game. And Scotty, if they win, instead of maybe the Phillies lose last night and then we can move over to the Sixers getting the W and going into the playoffs and getting ready,
correct.
Right?
Because what I said to start off the show, I only went back to 2022. I have the numbers through 2020. I don't know what 2019, 2018 look like. You know, Bryce signs in 2019. I don't know if those numbers are better or worse, but since 2020, this is the best start through 15 games for a Phillies team. You wouldn't fucking know it compared to how people are feeling, but you're 1000% correct because there's something more important at stake. The Sixers first round matchup, second round matchup, hell, the end of the regular season compared to the Phillies starting a long season keeps eyes and attention and concerns off. It is their best start in over half a decade to the first 15 games of a season, and you wouldn't know it. That's wild. So, and it's also just very Philly-like, man. Like They've won their first 2. They've won their Taijuan Walker starts, but can't win a start with Aaron Nola.
Yeah,
I believe it's the first time in I forget how long that they've lost like back-to-back Zach Wheeler starts, or Zach Wheeler has allowed over
Luzardo.
So again, Wheeler hasn't been great his last 2 outings. No, I saw Brian's comment earlier. I'm kind of over the point of just going back and forth on what Aaron Nola is or isn't.
Yeah.
I think Nola's getting somewhat of a tough shake to start the year. His first start sucked in Washington. Gave up 5 runs, 4 runs, whatever it was. He gave up 3 runs against the Dodgers in that game that we lost on Saturday. The only loss to the Dodgers. Gave up 3 runs in like 6 innings. It's a quality start. It's a productive start. They didn't win the game, of course. They didn't score, but it's a productive outing. And then you had the Cardinals game 3 days ago, on Friday, where they get shut out. Now, he didn't have a great start. I think he gave up like 4 runs or so, but I don't think Aaron Nola has been atrocious to start the year, right?
Yeah.
So
I feel you. I do think it's a perspective based type of thing, man. Like at the end of the day, there's a lot of guys that are misperforming. I think there's a few guys that you can kind of circle and put the spotlight on, but overall, the last week, the team just hasn't performed up to par, man. And you got to change that starting tonight. That being said, man, how are you feeling going into this series with the Giants? Obviously, they're off to a good start.
Yeah,
you get start. Walker on the mound tonight.
I know.
He's been solid. I mean,
I'm putting my trust into Taijuan Walker tonight, and maybe that is shame on me. But the dude, he just
I don't think he's got ticking time bomb.
Yeah, I think.
Like, is that how you view it from your perspective? Like, is he just like a ticking time bomb, or could he just have a decent season?
I think he could just have a decent season. Now, do I think he's going to continue to throw scoreless baseball every 5 innings?
Right.
No. But I think he's going to have whatever they need him to do. He added, I forget what pitch he added. His velo's back up a bit. He's mixing pitches well. He's using both parts of the plate. He's making hitters uncomfortable by attacking their hands and then going away. So him and JT or whoever's been calling games will do him. Marchand's got to start with them. I'm not sure. But they've done a good job. I've gone into both the Taijuan Walker starts thinking, oh boy, and bet the over, and he has proven me wrong. So I think they win tonight, and I think they win tonight because they're a damn good team. That's what I think this Phillies team is that had a rough road trip, and I think they come back in Philadelphia and get a win against the Giants tonight. This Giants team frustrates me because you want to just talk about like a lack of inspiration in the lineup. Like they were a pretty good team later. They didn't make the playoffs, but I forget what they were at a certain point. They were pretty good.
Seems like they got some decent some good pitching.
They got good pitching. They do. Let me read you this lineup, right? Well, it's not even in order, but I'm just on their depth chart at the moment. Let me read you some names. Willy Adames, solid player. Very solid player. I don't want to undersell Willy Adames, but Wilmer Flores is DHing. Mike Yastrzemski out in right field. Jung-Hoo Lee taking the Yankees deep a couple times in Yankee Stadium. Elliot Ramos, Willy Adames. Matt Chapman, excellent third baseman. Gold Glover, can't hit worth shit. Tyler Fitzgerald. Patrick Bailey catching. Lamont Wade. Like, dude, they are just such an uninspiring bunch for the name on the back of the jersey, and yet they're 11-4 to start the year. But that is my point, guys, right? You think the Giants are going to keep winning at this rate? You think the Giants are a damn good baseball team, or is it just 15 games and they're playing well to start? Don't overreact, don't underreact either way, but I think the Phillies are just too much for this team, and you get their 5th starter tonight. So, yeah, it's unfortunate that it's Taijuan, or maybe it's not unfortunate that it's Taijuan, but you get Walker on the mound, but you get Landon. I don't know if this is correct. I feel like I heard it pronounced Rupee. There's no E, it's Roupp. I heard it pronounced Rupee. It could just be Roop. It could be Rup. I don't know.
Row up.
Something along those lines, Scotty. But you get their 5th starter tonight. And let's see what the Phillies bats can do. Obviously,
I see it now. I actually see it. So it's Roop P, right?
Yeah,
like so just Roop and then the extra P.
I think so. That's how I heard it pronounced.
Interesting. That has to be like a different.
We'll see what T-Mac says on the call tonight. Also, something like under the radar. We get John Kruk back in the booth tonight. I don't have to listen to Ben Davis call a game next time.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Well, I hope he's back in the booth. Who knows? It'll probably be fucking Ruben Amaro Jr. tonight. Really ruined my day. But
man, I was gonna ask you, do you want to talk a little bit of Sixers?
Yeah.
I'll cover my eyes while I ask.
Yeah.
A little ashamed.
We had a plan. Joel made the thumbnail tonight. We'll get into it. We get to put this nightmare of a season behind us, man. What a ride. I don't even know like how to summarize my thoughts.
The worst season during our time of like podcasting of any team, quite honestly, compared to expectations.
It's one of the worst seasons. You can make the argument it's the worst season of my lifetime when you include expectations, recent winning history. Like when I say winning history, I don't mean that as in, but they've won a lot of regular season games. They've made the playoffs for however many straight years, right? The off season we just had, the max contract of Paul George, with expectations involved. Like, oh yeah, well, what about the process Sixers? It's in the name, brother. Like
exactly. Like the
Sixers.
Expectations were very low.
Yes.
You just wanted to see some young talent in the process era.
This was arguably the worst season, at least for the Sixers, as far as my lifetime goes. I have to think back to, obviously we've had the Dream Team Eagles and we've had some mediocre Eagles seasons, but 2020 Eagles, right? We won 4 games after winning the division the year before. The Carson Wentz saga. So we've had a lot of shit transpire. This was one of the worst seasons that come to mind. The fact that we came in with a roster that I was so amped for, so excited for. Scotty, I'm not exaggerating when I say this to you. I don't know who finished on the active roster completely.
Yeah.
I mean that wholeheartedly. Like, I know Lonnie Walker's a Sixer. Maybe he'll even be back next year. Quentin Grimes, I want to re-sign. Is it Jared? Is it Carson? Jared Butler? Carson Butler?
Jared Butler.
Jared Butler. Jared Butler's a Sixer. I got that one. There's about 3 other dudes that I saw they signed.
Marvin Bagley III's little brother, Marcus Bagley. He was on the Blue Coats, though, I think.
Yeah, needless to say, there were quite a few players that I didn't really know existed that ended up playing for the Philadelphia 76ers at the end of the season.
Justin Simmons? That was his name, right? Justin?
There you go. There's another one. No, Justin. I mean, that's the safety I'm thinking of, but maybe that is the same.
Maybe I might be getting it confused.
I don't know.
I feel like I have done that before. It's not Simmons, maybe. Justin Edwards.
Justin Edwards was the undrafted free agent. So, I mean, he turned out. But at least I knew of Justin Edwards heading into the season. I didn't expect him to play
that's
a lot,
fair. He went to Kentucky.
I knew of Justin Edwards. I would just be scrolling like Twitter one day, dude. It would be like one of the congratulation posts on the Sixers like Instagram story or whatever that, this guy's been elevated, this guy's been signed, this guy's got a 10-day. And I'm like, dude, dear Lord, man. But
bro, this season, it got to the point for me where obviously I started rooting against them for draft purposes, but I started rooting against like Josh Harris and like his ownership and like everything that he's done. And I think it is partly because he owns the Commanders and shows his face heavily with that organization. And this is something I've thought about heavily, and I'm sure he's not the only owner in pro sports that owns like different teams in different cities across sports, but there's just no way in my mind as a Philly sports fan that you can own a team in Philadelphia, own a team in New Jersey, own a team in DC, and have the best interest.
Not for here.
Not
for here. Not for here. Not what we expect at every level at every level of the organization for any of our teams. You cannot get away with that here. You can't, like, there's certain markets, they're big markets, right? New York, Boston, Philadelphia. You just can't get away from the East Coast, those types of cities and have interfering interests. Now, look, these dudes are billionaires. These dudes have their hands in a lot of different cookie jars, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like for a large majority of them, they have their sports team, right?
Like one
and then
team.
and then they probably have other business ventures in different areas. Yeah. When you own multiple sports teams or have interest in other sports teams, that is direct competition to what we're trying to achieve as sports fans, right?
Yeah.
So that's the problem with it. And it's not just one, like you said, it's not just the Eagles, it's not just the Commanders and the Sixers. It's been the Devils as well. Like it's been a whole lot of
trying to move the team to New Jersey, at a certain point, like discussing that. Yeah, he's this is all that causes, fans to uninvest. And I bring that up because I saw tickets, down the stretch, $5, $8 to get into a Sixers game. So this man lost so much money this season on this team, dude. Because you think about the money that he gave out, like he did give out some money, right? And to your point about the team that we were just so high on coming into this season, you felt like they made every right move and more, like getting a Jared McCain in the draft, picking up a Yabusele, as a guy that was coming back from the Euro leagues. Caleb Martin gets traded mid-season, and you end up getting Quentin Grimes, who now looks to be a quality piece, like out of like Yabusele and others. He's the one I would want back the most.
You already know what the script is on Quentin Grimes, by the way. And I'm saying this sarcastically, but he'll come back. They'll re-sign him. I think is it a team option? Is it a team option or a player option that he has? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure.
I would assume if you are Daryl Morey and Josh Harris, and how the end of the season went, Quentin Grimes, is a guy that should be wearing Sixers colors next year.
Yeah.
Dropping 40, 30, high 20s, star of the show. You just know when they put out their full roster next year, like when Joel's actually playing games and Paul George is playing games and Maxey's back, how much you want to bet Quentin Grimes looks like a shell of himself from this past year? can't shoot from the perimeter when he's wide open.
It's like you have to bring him back because of his performance. But yeah, it would
and
just be so
the fit theoretically should work.
Happen.
But I've watched it with Buddy Hield. I've watched it with a lot
ideal. Like it's like ideal. Like he can defend pretty well as well. So you can pair him with a guy like Maxey, start Paul George next to him, get a 4 in between Paul George and Embiid. But
what is
let
me ask you that. Look, we have all off season to talk about this, and we're almost an hour in, so I know we're not going to do this for much longer tonight. But like, what's your thought process on that guy?
Joel?
No, on Paul George. Like, there's no doubt in my mind he's back. How do you feel about it? Like we can't actually with any ounce of confidence sit here and say, well, if they're healthy, like there's nothing I can say that, you know what I mean? Like if there's not,
I don't
say that.
It's a good point. I guess the way I would put it is I don't trust Paul George at all, and it's pushed me to the point now where I miss and covet my time that I spent as a James Harden fan. Like I miss it, dude. Like that was like and this is so like I'm going back on so much I said about James Harden.
I know.
I even take back like I disrespected him. I apologize for that because he didn't deserve it. I'm not going to go as far as to say he was like right and like going out publicly and calling Daryl Morey a liar, but he deserves a max contract over Paul George. And he gave us the best version of Maxey, the best version of Joel.
Yeah, I mean,
in 7 games with the Boston Celtics in the postseason. Yeah,
I mean, we could sit here and have the conversation on the Jimmy year, the Jimmy, JJ, Tobias first year, where the Kawhi shot, like that's probably the closest they would have been. And then seeing what happened to Golden State in the finals with the injuries, like that's the closest they theoretically are to winning a title. But that Harden year, that game 6 win the game 5 win in Boston, and then losing game 6 and 5. That's the closest they were. It was...
Just take a Tobias Harris out of the lineup and like let's just have James Harden, and then maybe you add it. I know it doesn't always work out like that. We got the pick for McCain, I believe, from the Clippers in that trade, so you wouldn't have McCain and whatnot. But man, hindsight's 2020. I wish we still had James Harden. I wish we would have given him the max contract, and I do think that's TJ, a mistake. It's a mistake unless we win a championship. Or I guess I can't. Can I take it that far? Is it that is it that damning of a move?
I think so.
Conference finals. Like if you don't get to the conference finals with Paul George on your team, that was a monumental mistake to get rid of James Harden.
I agree. The whole point of what they've done was to push you further towards a chip. And in the Joel Embiid era, all we have are second round and first round exits. And I think that's my biggest issue. And I know Marsh, I know he's not joking, but like the LOL was thrown in at the end, so it is like funny. I think that's just where I'm at, dude. Like we're going to have discussions all summer long, all off season long. Obviously they're looking to have a top 5 pick. They had the same, I think it's like a 10-point-something% chance for each of the first 4 picks that they get one of those.
Do you get this sick feeling at the bottom of your stomach when you view the percentages? Like I do. That's why I asked, because it just feels like we talk about the Sixers' luck. We talk about bad karma from Josh Harris. It's just we're going to get the 7th pick, aren't we?
And lose it.
Yeah, like that's what's going to happen. Like I don't even understand the percentages as to why we have like the highest individual percentage to get the 7th pick. But it just feels like our luck, man.
I don't know the answer to that. I just, where I'm at with this team, dude, unless that ping pong ball bounces a certain way and they are the number 1 pick, I'm not even so sure I'm confident that they select Cooper Flagg at this point. Like, that's where I'm at. I'm not even confident that they select Cooper Flagg. But outside of that happening and Cooper Flagg being a 76er come June,
I know.
I am just here. I'm not done. I'm here when it comes to this. I am a flat plane when it comes to this team. I'll go through this off season.
Confidence.
Yeah, like I'm just because all that matters is whether or not 21 can ever play basketball consistently and at least a decently high level again. Because if he can't, it's over.
And we don't know that he can because we did not see it this season.
No. So that's all I can do is wait and see for that. Add on to the fact that if he can, you need number 8 to pan out somewhat. Yeah. Like not be a 20-point per game scorer like we were hoping, not be, the third star, but you need number 8 to stay on the court at this point of his career and be productive. You need Jared McCain at that point to continue his level of success that he had this year. You need to hit on this trip. There's a lot that has to go, right? And all I can do is just sit here and wait and hope because I can't have any conversations this summer about when Joel Embiid's healthy. If Joel Embiid's healthy, I'm done with that song and dance. I hope so. I pray to God the dude can get back on the floor at a consistent level and be one of the best players in the league still for this year, for a couple more years, not just for us, for him. Because I feel bad for him personally.
Yeah. No, I
have no ounce of confidence that happens.
I feel you. And I think to that point, man, it makes that draft pick so valuable. Only even if it is like the 5th or 6th pick, only for this reason, maybe you can bring in a guy like a Derek Queen or Kamen Malawach is not at the top of my list right now, obviously with his performance in the Final Four, but somebody young that can play in those moments where Embiid is out. And that way we still get some excitement, right? We still get something to like live for. Man.
Yeah. Just the way that this year went, dude.
After McCain went down,
about it, I don't know that we even have enough of a sample size to determine this or not. I know, like we hope, or people still think he can. The issue with what you got this year, with how downward this year went, was you didn't even get the answer, or if you did get the answer, it's no. And that question is, can Tyrese Maxey be the number 1 on a championship level team?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that it's not fair to pose that, you know what I mean? Like with the way this year went, with all the injuries, and then he got injured, and obviously they sat him the remainder of the year. It's not fair to ask that. But if Joel's going to go down, and it's looking like this is, we could possibly be coming to an end when it comes to the Joel Embiid era, where are we looking for an answer of, can that guy be the star? We either didn't get an answer, or some people came away saying no. And that's another issue because you still have Tyrese Maxey to have, but it's like, well, can you build around Tyrese Maxey? And I don't know that you're confident saying that.
I think the conclusion that I came to, and I'm very high on Maxey. I think he needs a bounce back year. I think this was a down year, but I think he can at least give us something exciting. Like he can get. If you put young talent that can get out on the break, like Cooper Flagg is a dream, man. I know it's not so realistic. It's 10% chance, right? He's a dream, man, because he changes the way that you play. Like he can bring the ball up the court. He can push tempo. Imagine him with Maxey, man.
I agree.
Like Maxey just speeding up and down the floor and Cooper Flagg's being a point forward. Like that is ideal for a guy like Tyrese Maxey. So I think in that world, very, very fun. Would I trade the 5th pick to Denver for MPJ? No, that sounds like another situation like Tobias Harris. Like, just in the past, like another underperformer, streaky guy. What I would consider, man, let's see what happens with the T-Wolves this postseason. And let's see what happens with Ant Edwards. And that's something, maybe you throw Maxey in the 5th pick for a guy like Ant Edwards. And yeah, I know I'm going down a rabbit hole, and and it's not even worth
There's really nowhere else to go, brother. I'm being honest. I don't think they're like normally, and no matter how disappointing the end of a Sixers year has been, there's always been comments where we go, come on, man, really? With where we're at right now, there's no land too far, Scotty. There's no mountain too high. I don't know.
I heard Mike Missinelli talking about Giannis.
Right. Normally,
I don't think it's possible, but he said basically, would you trade? I want to say, would you trade Maxey and Embiid for Giannis?
I like because
I'm not going that
right.
far.
So right, because
But
here's the issue. Here's the issue. From an overall talent perspective, I would tell you no. Like those two for Giannis, no. But am I including the fact that Joel Embiid can't play basketball?
Right. Like if
yes.
they're taking a question mark Embiid.
Right. Because on a healthy night, right? If we're playing the Bucks, what do I tell you all the time? I know Giannis has the ring. I get that. But what do I say to you all the time? Joel Embiid's the best player on the floor.
Yeah.
MVP year, Joel Embiid's the best player on the floor. But when we have to start including all of these, not even just possibilities, more likely outcomes. Like that's where we're at.
Yeah. No,
but that's not happening. That's not going to happen.
No, they would never trade him in the Eastern Conference, I would imagine. But I mean, the Mavs did trade Luka to the Lakers, so don't rule anything.
Yeah, meanwhile, other general managers are being fired and other head coaches are being fired, but not Nico.
Denver fires their GM and head coach, but yeah, it's interesting. I agree, Brian. Jokic and Maxey, yeah, absolutely. But that'll never happen. And it probably won't either. I know I said something ridiculous too, so it happens. But this is where we're at. We're at hypothetical season again.
Nothing is too far for me right now, man.
We're at the hypothetical part of the Sixers season again. I can't do it, man.
I'm so mentally checked out with next season will come, maybe we get good news on Joel Embiid's knee and he's ready to go opening night and he plays the first 2 weeks of the season and things are looking up and I'll be like, all right, let's watch Sixers basketball. I don't have the faintest interest in this team at the moment. And I feel bad, right? Because you're a fair weather fan, right? No. I think with how skeevy they've been, how much they lied and how deceptive they were about the injury and about everything, paying Paul the decisions to extend Joel with a max extension when you knew his knee injury was as serious it was, the way Paul George, that contract's like the way you just done business. It's not like it's kind of like a boycott. Like you couldn't pay me to go to a Sixers game. You couldn't pay. I'm not watching a Sixers game at the end of this year. Like, it's just not happening.
This is why I do think a top 5-ish pick, top 6 pick, because we can still get the 6th pick as well. But a top 5 pick in this draft gives the season a little bit more meaning outside of a championship. Like, if you have a star player you're trying to develop with this unit, it just makes things more exciting. I say that because if Jared McCain doesn't tear his ACL or whatever that was last year,
meniscus,
the first half of the season, I probably do watch these games, man. And maybe it's my Duke fandom running through and through. But when you have a first round talent that is playing well and scoring in the 30s and giving you a little bit of entertainment, I think it's a little different than a makeshift roster put together of G leaguers and guys that maybe they could earn a bottom of the roster spot.
I agree.
Year, right? Like Jared McCain could be a 6-man candidate for this team next year, a scoring punch off the bench. That's the type of stuff we were looking at with him. So we just didn't get much of that down the stretch. But to your point, the ownership group is distasteful. It's gross. And I think anytime things start to go sour with the Sixers organization, it will end up like this. I do believe that, man.
Yeah.
Because of the ownership.
I agree. So, Josh Harris, just do us a favor. Sell the fucking team.
Yeah.
Just get out of town. Go worry about your Commanders. Go worry about the Devils. Do whatever you do, but don't do it here. All right. We got about 40 minutes. So, we're laying Phil's money line. We're laying, ready for this, Martian? Taiwan Walker over strikeouts. That's what we're laying tonight.
Yeah.
Phil's going to go get a W. We're going to be back Wednesday night talking about this Giants series. Hopefully, we're talking about 2 consecutive wins. We're going to get into some NFL draft and Eagles talk as the weeks go on and the next couple days go on as well as we approach draft season. Well, we're in draft season, but as we approach the date for the NFL draft at the end of the month.
Who do you want the Eagles to draft?
You're asking me? I don't know.
No, I'm just throwing it out there for the next show. Yeah, who do you want the Eagles to draft?
I have done this much research. I'm still hungover from a Super Bowl, so
yeah. Throw whoever on the squad. We'll run it back. Let's do it.
But guys, for myself, for Scotty, we greatly appreciate it. Do us a favor, do yourself a favor, and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're at 180. Let's just get to 200 and continue to build and climb from there. For myself, for DSM, for Scotty, have a great rest of your day and go Fightins.